Good morning. How to fill out Form 941 for 2021. Employer Quarterly Federal Tax Return, Part 1. If you are required to complete or to file Form 941 for 2021, the first thing you'll do with this form is to have on hand your business employer identification number, EIN. So you will enter the EIN on top row, and on the line above for name, now your trade name, you'll enter your name, first and last name. If you have a name for your business, you will use it. It could be your L.L.C, it could be your fictitious name. So you enter your trade name. And then you enter your business address, the number suite or room number, city, state, and zip code. So on the right side of the form, you will check the box that you are filing for. So if you are filing for the first quarter, which is due April 30th, for the month of January, February, March, then you will check box 1. If you are filing for April, May, June, which is due July, end of July, you will check the box 2. If you are filing for July, August, September, due the following month, which will be end of October, you will check the box 3. If you are filing for October, November, December, due January 31st of the following year, you will check the box 4. And if you are required to file Form 941, it is quarterly tax return. Therefore, you are filing for the current year. You are filing for 2021, now 2020. So a quarterly tax return, it will be for the current year. And if you are required to file it, you have to file it for each one of the quarter. You cannot wait until the end of the year and file one and check all the boxes on it. That's an annual return. And employer annual federal tax return is another form. So if you receive EIN for your business from IRS will send you a letter that will specify the form you will file based on how you complete your application for the EIN number. So it has more to do with if you have employees and how much tax liability you expected to have. So once you are done with the top part, you'll move down. So Form 941, Part 1. Line 1, number of employees who receive wages, tips, or other compensation for the pay period. So you'll enter the number of employees that you have in your business, and depending on the quarter you are filing for, the number of employees you have during that quarter, you'll enter the number. And we have a payroll spreadsheet that we are completing. And this payroll spreadsheet is going to be available for purchase at librdownload.com, but there will be this sample version available for free at ninasoap.com, our blog, under free download. So if you are looking for a spreadsheet for payroll, you will be able to access it there as well. So let's take an example here. We have the tab for staff, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 staff members here, and we can move a little bit to the right side to see when we okay. And the spreadsheet is now going to be locked, so you can insert, in fact I'm not going to add it here, you can insert more columns as you wish, but it will be a good idea to insert them at the end so that you don't accidentally break any formula. So if you hire a different period of time during the year, it might be good on the staff sheet to include the dates you hired. But the federal income tax tab could tell us the pay period that each one of those staff has been employed. So let's select A, B, C, D all the way to G and check the pay dates. So you'll notice that they all are paid during the first quarter. So if you are filing for the first quarter and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 members in your business, then you will enter 7, for instance, on line 1 of Form 941 for the quarter you are filing for. If you are an L.L.C. taxed as an S-Corp, or you are an S-Corp, you, the owner of the business, is an employee as well, or specifically called an officer of the business. Therefore, you are included as well. And if you are the only one in the business, you have not hired anyone else, then you are the only one employee of the business, and the number here you will be 1. The number on line 1 will be 1. So line 2, wages, tips, and other compensation. So line 2, if you have a payroll spreadsheet, you will track your payrolls, and for the first quarter we have wage pay based on hourly rates, fees, wage paid, overtime rates, and one has overtime hours, so overtime paid, and pay period, wages paid. Let me open this a little bit here. But we should have another tab, total wages, for instance, could track wages for the first quarter, January, February, March, total wages is by month. Total employee social security will come down to that. And we do have the summary report, is more the report of the taxes. So let's go back to the federal. You could either use the total wages and just total the first quarter, which is 1,126. You could use the federal tax income tax return section as well. And for the first this tab pretty much track your payroll on a regular basis. So the total wages will track it by month and should have the total as well for you. Pretty much it will total everything, so we might include that later. So 1,126 will be for January, February, March. If you are filing for those, then you will include it on line 2. And line 2, you'll notice it that you have space for cents as well. So you will include the full amount, whatever the amount is. I mean, we can type it just for example. Let's see if we have cents here. We do not have cents. So 1,126. Line 3, federal income tax withheld from wages, tips, and other compensation. So if you are manually tracking your payroll using a spreadsheet, there is multiple ways you will calculate federal income tax withheld on wages. And I will refer you save publication 15T, and I should have. And if you are looking for a publication or instructions for Form 941, you'll be able to locate it on IRS.gov. You just type it in the search bar, or you could look on at nenasub.com under free download to see the links of those publications and forms that we have out there. So publication 15T has multiple ways you could calculate federal income tax. One is percentage method table for automated payroll system. The second one is wage bracket method table for manual payroll system for Form W4 from 2020 or later. And our payroll Excel workbook is based on this second method, wage brackets method for manual payroll system. And there is a fourth one. A third one would be more for W4 for prior to 2020, but there is a fourth one that is percentage option as well for Manual Payroll System. So for the spreadsheet we are using, we are going to use the manual, the wage brackets. So if you have payrolls, you have people on your payroll or yourself, and you are wondering how you'll calculate the federal income tax return, you could ask your new employees to complete a new Form W4, and you will use the W4 to complete the payroll spreadsheet, the task, the staff part, and then you'll choose your pay schedule. So your pay schedule has something to do with how you are going to calculate your federal income tax return. So we are going to take an example. Staff 1. So staff 1, $10 an hour, and our pay schedule is daily, and we have options to choose from. So daily, that means you pay people at the end of the day of their shift. And in this example, we are now using people are working once a month and are paid daily. So that's the example. So that means in the pay year you have 2 CC pay period. If you are daily, you have daily pay schedule. So with the information from the W4, you'll complete every single column on your staff sheet. And staff A is single, Mary file separately is the way, that's why he checked on W4. And step 2 boss is now checked, and you'll advise your staff members now to check some boxes on the W4 for easy calculation, since you are manually processing the payrolls. And standard withholding, you have 2 options there, boss 2 checked or standard withholding. So, and nothing else is checked on that. So that's an employee. You have option between employee and officer for other purposes of your spreadsheets. And your state unemployment tax. So we are using state unemployment tax. So that means you are going to pay state unemployment tax on that payroll. So now, knowing that your staff, one staff is taxed as a single, now we'll go to federal income tax sheets, and for the pay period, since we pay daily for that quarter, after that pay period, staff 1 earned $80 plus 2 hours of overtime, and is pretty much 1.5 of the hourly rate. So it's automatically calculating it for you. And the blue sections are the sections with formula that you don't need to do anything on unless you want to override. So overhead pay $30. The total pay for staff 1 is $110. So how do you calculate federal income tax on that amount? So we have daily pay period. You have options on the type of pay period you are using, and number of pay period of the year, 2 CC. And there is no other income to add, and I just say wages is 110, single, standard holding, and those information are repeated on this sheet to help you figure out the task. So now we'll go back to publication 15T, and publication 15T does not come with the spreadsheet. You have to download it yourself. So for the second option, wage bracket method table for manual payroll system for W4 from 2020 or later section, you have weekly payroll, and you are not going to use weekly payroll if you are using daily payroll. So you'll scroll down bi-weekly payroll period, you'll pass that, and semi-monthly payroll period, you'll pass it. So you have those options for payroll. For payday, you have monthly payroll period, and you have daily payroll period. So since our option is daily payroll period, then we will look at the table for daily payroll period. So you choose how often you want to pay your staff, and based on that you will choose the table to work with, and you adjust the payroll period in the spreadsheet. You have all the options there to choose from, but the spreadsheet is designed to use wage bracket method, and it is manual payroll system. So you have to locate the table for wage bracket method table for manual payroll system, and then you choose the payroll period you want to use. So now that we are in the daily payroll section, you have married filing jointly, head of household, single, or married filing separately. So we have 110 to look, and the staff one starts as single. So you have the adjusted wage amount line 1H here to look as well. So we will be looking at 110, and there's something to consider is the first number in the column is the wage has to be at least that number but less than the number in the second column. So 110, so the wage has to be at least 110 and that's why we are not going with the row above it, because the row above it is the row for the wage has to be less than 110. So the staff salary is 110, so we will use the column, the row that say at least 110 but less than 115. So we'll use that and we'll compare it to the last column of single. So you just make sure you are matching numbers well, and it is 690. And the reason why I'm going with 690 now 1130 is because we are using standard withholding. Now from W4 step 2 checkbox withholding. So 690, you will copy that and you'll type it in the spreadsheet, and that's why we have 690 for tentative withholding income tax. Then if the employer decided to claim dependent, which I don't know, you can advise your employees what they want to do on their W4 to make things easier as well. Then you have extra withholding W4 4C. So that's when an employee decided requested you withhold something extra from their income and staff one didn't request it. So your pay period federal income tax withheld is your tentative withholding income minus the dependent claim pay period plus any extra withholding W4. And the pay period is March 1st, 2021. The month is March, and completing those will help the spreadsheet calculating some reports, some totals for you by month. And it is an employee, and that's Q1. So you have quarters to choose from so that things can pull out properly for you. So now let's go to federal income tax is what we are looking for. So for Q1, let's go to the summary report. In the employee is the one that pay income tax on wages. Therefore, if you go to your tab total federal income tax, you will be able to total your first quarter federal income tax withheld on employee wages. You, the employer, does not match that. So the total of that is $62.70 for the first quarter. And if we go back to our form, then line 3 will be 62, and the cents, let's go check again, that's 70 or 90. 70, $62.70. So $62.70 will go on line 3. So that's how you compute federal income tax withheld from wages, tips and other compensations. So line 4, if no wages, tips or other compensation are subject to Social Security or Medicaid tax, check that box, and then you go to line 6. So if you are the only one in the business and you are required to file Form 941, but you are not paying yourself anything, then your line 1 will be 1, your line 2 will be 0, pretty much, or blank, your line 3 will be 0, and your line 4 you will check it because there is no wages, tips or other compensation subject to Social Security or Medicaid tax. But if you are paying yourself something, then you have to complete those with how much you are withholding from your income. So line 5, and I will say that if you are the only one in the business and you want to take your salary at the end of the year, then for those each one of the quarters you are filing for, because you have to file your Form 941 whether you have wages or not, everything will be blank, 0. Line 4 you will check it, but then the last quarter when you pay yourself, that one you will have numbers in it. So line 5A, taxable Social Security wages. So you will look at your payroll spreadsheet and you will total all the wages that are subject to Social Security tax. So that will go in column 1. And column 2 is employee and employer share of Social Security tax combined. So it's 0.062 for employee, 0.062 for employer. Both combined is 0.124. So we can if you want, we can continue using examples here. Let's go back to the federal income tax. We have our payrolls in for the first quarter, and we have multiple tabs. But let's see if they are asking for wages subject to Social Security. So this spreadsheet will work great for you if you don't have fringe benefits, taxable fringe benefits, sick leave, family leaves, retirement plan for your employees. If you don't have those in place yet, this spreadsheet will work for you because I have not included columns for them. I'm thinking about doing that, but it's making the spreadsheet a little bit busy, and I want that to be easy to use for employers that are just starting out and just don't have all those infrastructures in place or those benefits in place. So maybe the one that will be available at liberdownload.com might just be a simple one that does not have all those additions, and I might create another one later with those. So this one that will be in the free section does have the hourly rates, the fees, wages, the overhead, and if let's say you have tips, so you could insert a column and add tips. I was working on that, but the way it is designed, pretty much wages here is taxable by Social Security, and pretty much tips, depending on the business, tips is taxable by Social Security as well. So if you add it, and you will make sure the formula flows all the way down. Oh, don't want to go that far. Yeah, I have very sensitive mouse, keyboard pad. But for the information we have in the total wages, it is fully taxable by Social Security. Sick leave and family leave is not included. So we can easily go to total wages section here, and the total wages for the first quarter 1,126 will be the same number that will go on taxable Social Security wages section. If you have tips though, then you'll make sure your tips is not included in that total. That will go on line 5A. So line 5A, for instance, will be 1,126, and pretty much is matching line 2 in our case here. But if you have tips, other compensation, they will be all included in line 2, but not necessarily on line 5A. So line column 2 for line 5A will be 1,126 times 0.124. And if you have your spreadsheet for payroll designed to track those for you, it should calculate it. And we do have total employee social security tax, and you will pretty much total them, but that's just one portion here because it say employee social security tax. So 6980, 6981 times 2 will be the amount. So 1126 times 0.124, you'll notice it, that's the same. So 139.62. But let's keep scrolling to see if we have a tab that is combining it for us. So we do have total employer and employee social security tax, and we are tracking it by staff and by month. So here you could just total your first quarter and it is $139.62, and you could just go back and it will be $139.62. So 5A, I, qualify sick leave wages. So if you have that plan for your staff members and you pay sick leave, then you'll enter sick leave wages. And sick leave is taxable to the employee, but not to you, the employer. Therefore, you only multiply the amount in column 1 by 0.0662, and the payroll spreadsheet does not include sick leave or family leave in the paper in the spreadsheet. So I was including it, but then decided to go with a simple version that will work for a startup companies. So if you have sick leaves, then you need to track your sick leaves and enter it on the second row. So qualified family leave wages, it is taxable to the employee but not to the employer. So if you have family leave, qualified family leave wages paid to your employees, it will go on line 5A WI, and you time it by 0.0662, and it will go in column 2. But you, the employer, are not going to pay social security on that. 5B, taxable social security tips. If you have tips pay to your employees, then the total of that tip will go on line 5B times 0.124, because you, the employer, and the employee are going to pay social security wages on it. So you'll put the tips there and you'll time it by 0.124 to find the social security tax to put in column 2. And that's how you calculate social security tax on wages and tips taxable to the employees and to the employers, and social security tax on sick leave and family leave taxable only to the employee. Thank you so much for watching our videos. Thank you, you all that watch our videos. We thank you very much, you all that subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for all your comments. I'm Afiavi Ojune Liberman, creators of Liberman Consulting L.L.C YouTube channel, Liberman Consulting L.L.C podcast, and ninasoup.com, our blog. We do have our online stores, including liberdownload.com for our digital products, liberoutlets.com for retail products, liberlabel.com for custom apparels and stationery, and ninasoup.com for natural products. This is part 1. We'll continue with part 2 in the next video. Thank you.